Well, welcome everybody. We appreciate you tuning in to the Clips with the Coalition. We are the Nebraska Culture Change Coalition, and we are here today to talk about listening with a mindset of not providing advice or wanting to fix people's problems. And I will be the first one to admit that as a professional, this is just an area that I've struggled with over the years. It's something that, I want to always keep at the top of my mind because my natural go-to is to want to help people and to resolve their problems or what they're experiencing. So I really have to make sure that this is a constant focus for me, so that I'm not intruding on people. I also found that over the years, I've had to become more comfortable with silence. I think as humans, it's just not something that we are overall comfortable with, and something that we really have to remind ourselves to be in that moment and really just to be a good active listener. So, Jeff, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thanks, Kirsten. This is really an interesting topic to me because listening is important really to everybody. I think whether we're dealing with things in our professional life versus as opposed to those that when we're dealing with people in our lives that, like my mother who's 88, or other people that we care for. And language is so important, and listening is important, and words mean things. And what I have learned as I age is that words, the same words, mean different things to different people. And how do you sift through that and know what certain people may mean when they use certain words? And in my world, it's very important that we listen to what it is people are telling us that they want to see in our product that we're providing to them. And if we don't understand where they're coming from, we may design that product improperly because we didn't understand their words, which means we didn't listen well. So in our firm, we make sure that our primary emphasis is on excellent communication, but we really have a goal of selfless understanding. In other words, making sure that as we are listening, we're removing our bias from the conversation and we're just listening to understand from their perspective so that we understand and can make sure that the definition of the words that they are using is intended, or that we're understanding it the way it was intended. So yeah, I'm very excited about this topic, and I think it's extremely important.
Thank you for that, Jeff. I have to say, I'm kind of like Kirsten because I am a pharmacist by profession, and it is my job to listen to what people say and then find the answers for them and push them in the direction that they need to go to fix whatever is going wrong for them right now. So that fix it mindset, that listening filter, comes very natural to me. But I teach about listening filters as part of what I do. And one of the things that I've learned as a listening filter that really bugs me is that, oh, but I have a better story than you have after they've listened to me. And it really annoys me. And I find myself tempted to do that. I have this instinctual need to, like, oh, I got this really great story. And I have to remember to zip my lip because it isn't about my story, it's about their story. And so that's helped me to realize that and just really try to curb that before I blurt out my better story. And then the other thing I've noticed about how we listen, I think that sometimes our assumptions about people's age and people's ability and people's cognition get in the way of us actually really listening to them. Because we're telling our story, in our heads, we're telling the story about that's discounting what this person has to say because they're this age or because they're living with this particular issue. And it's really hard for us to zoom in on them and really listen to what they have to say, both the words, but also the emotional content that they're sharing with us. And that's something that constantly am working on.
Yeah, that's great, Denise, because I have a story that goes along with exactly what everybody is talking about. So many of you know that my
Is it better
husband,
than Denise's story?
oh, it's way better. than Denise's.
Sorry, I
Way
had
better,
to.
way better. So, as many of you know, that my husband lives with dementia, and this last winter, when we were driving down to Florida, he still likes to fill the gas, and he can still do that, and pay with the credit card at the pump. Well, as most of you know, not all pumps are created equally, and you have to read each pump and their directions. And so our routine has been, we get out, he fills the gas, I run into the gas station, I do my thing, I come out, I wait for him, and he comes in, does his thing. And so got done doing my thing, and I'm looking out there, and it's like, okay, that's not where I parked the vehicle. Where is he? So I watch him, and he stopped at one gas pump, saw him getting frustrated, got into that pump, drove to another one and got out, got frustrated, takes off. He did this 4 times, going to 4 different pumps. Finally, I go out there and I say, honey, what's going on? And all these pumps are broken. And it's like, surely not all of these are broken. And so I said, okay, let's take a look. And I thought I was being patient. Let's take a look. Let's read what it's saying. Finally, we got our gas. And I said, why don't you go in, do your thing? I'll finish the gas and that type of thing. So we get back into the vehicle, and now we're going down the interstate. And he says to me, oh, those pumps were broken. And I said, no, they weren't. They're not broken. I said, you just didn't follow the direction. Silence. Another mile down the road. Oh, those gas pumps were broken. No, they weren't. I said, you just had to follow the direction. We're down the interstate another mile. And he brings it up again. And it's like, oh, ding, 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 Teresa, why am I arguing? In his mind, the gas pumps were broken. That's what made sense to him in his mind. And I said, you're right, honey. I said, they were broken. I said, and I don't know why they would have so many broken pumps. Never heard another word about those pumps. His anger dissipated. I validated, because that's what made sense in his mind. It didn't make sense in my mind. And I had to let that go and not argue and listen to what he was trying to communicate to me.
Teresa, that is such a remarkable story. Could you all just feel that? I mean, weren't you just listening? What was going to happen the next half mile down the road? I want to take a minute to talk about empathetic listening. And what is that? In order for us to really become good empathetic listeners, we need to develop that skill. And so, what that goal is then is to hear the other person. You want to begin to see things how they see it and look at it through their lens instead of only your point of view. That can be quite challenging to do, especially for us as caregivers. So, Jeff talked about removing biases. You heard Denise say, zip the lip. I love that, Denise. And so, how important factors I just want to mention about empathetic listening. Please stop talking and allow that individual to really listen, or excuse me, express self. And that takes a concerted effort to try to not interject someone's comments. And so another important thing I want to bring up is put that person at ease instead of debating, because they can feel tension. They can feel the tone of your voice. So it is important to empathize. Please be patient, and then avoid those personal biases. We all have these preconceived notions when somebody starts talking. We need to remove those biases and allow that person to fully express self. And the other thing I just want to conclude on is really just take a moment to immerse yourself in the moment. And we've heard the word validate throughout our conversation. Validate and really relish in that conversation. So, Kirsten, I know prior to this call, you were sharing something that I just laughed. What did your dad say? This was a great, I want to hear it again.
It was a little bit along the lines of what Denise was talking about, with always this one-upping of a story. And he used to describe folks that did that as, well, you know, if I've got 2 legs, they've got 3. Because, you know, their story had to be bigger and better and all those things. And it's so hard to make sure that we're staying in the middle lane, you know, in that conversation, being there for someone and supporting them and having that conversation with them. And sometimes we do have a story that relates, and really kind of trying to figure out, does it fit? Do I need to say it? Those kinds of things. Teresa, I can resonate with your story about your husband, and I know that many of us can, knowing that we've been in those shoes so many times, and then the light bulb goes off and we think, why am I doing this? Does it really matter? I, you know, tell my family that all the time. Is it going to matter in 5 minutes? Is it going to matter in 5 years? Do I really need to argue about this? Sometimes it's just hard to flip off the switch and you know, not walk away, but just not think about your perspective. You got to put yourself in their shoes. So I love the discussion that we've had today. I could carry on with this all day, but we try to keep these short. Thank you for tuning in. We really appreciate you being here with us. Feel free to share this. If you're seeing it on Facebook, make sure you check out our website. You can subscribe to our newsletter there as well. Our goal is to make sure that we're putting what seems like common sense things back into the world. So you can check out our website at necccoalition.org. Thanks for being with us today.